Die line with the boom pow. Every week now I switch to a new style. 212s in the back just blew out. Everything I do end up in the news now.
Hey, what's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about Frost Decay. I'm going to go ahead and, actually talk about all of my add-ons and my UI and, everything you see on the screen here. And then we're going to go ahead and go over again kind of the DPS rotation, because I've been getting a lot of feedback about how I just kind of briefly went over it instead of showing you actually top DPS strategies, like exactly what you're supposed to be doing. I just kind of gave you an idea what you're supposed to be doing. But today we're going to go over this is where you're going to press this button, because it's going to do maximum damage, which I see to be a much higher skill cap of thing. But and that comes with as mastery of Frost, you just kind of where to press your buttons, because what things are procced. But we can go over that. Alright, so in the first talent tree, of course, we're taking Cold Heart. Nothing is simming higher than that right now. Cold Heart just does more damage, so we use Cold Heart. Plus, you can pair it with your end of Pillar of Frost, or just at some point when you've used enough runes, to give you a more strength during your Pillar of Frost. And if you don't know this, when you activate Pillar of Frost, as you see over here on the right side, it says each rune sprint increases your strength by 1%. So you want to try to spend as many runes during Pillar of Frost as you can, so you can get enough strength to make your stuff big and strong and real good. Alright, on the second talent tree, we're looking at Horn of Winter, or you can pick up Runic Attunement. Horn of Winter, it just, I think, fills the gaps a lot better when your breath's about to go down, especially during Heroism, when you have a really, really long breath. You don't need Horn of Winter, and then you use Horn of Winter as Heroism is falling off to keep your breath going even longer. It's like on Vectus, you almost get to cleave into a second add, which is, a big DPS increase there. But if you want to go with the easy, guaranteed to get 3 runic power per auto attack, you're going with Runic Attunement. Next tree is pretty much situational. If you need a grip that's 40 yards, if you need a stun, if you need the AoE interrupt. This is really good for Mother if you go through the portal first, and you want to be able to interrupt all the adds with one button. You can tell your guild that, hey, I have a 1 minute cooldown, I can interrupt all of the adds. Asphyxiate, of course, it's a stun, come on. And then, 40 yard range grip. Alright, so in the middle tree, you're not going to take anything really except for Frozen Pulse until we get more crit. Frost Sight's not going to be better, unfortunately. I really like how Avalanche works, at least before. I don't like it now. I liked it before on every Obliterate crit, or every crit it brought down an Avalanche, and that was really cool synergy with but Blizzard, I think, likes it better like that. In the last tree, or I guess the healing / mobility tree, Wraithwalk's probably going to be good if you need as a lot of mobility on the fight. Death Pact is my favorite. Pair Death Pact with Health Potion right before, and then Death Pact, you're at full health. Pair it with Lock Cookie right before, you're at full health. It's amazing. Alright, in the next tree, Glacial Storm is almost comparable to Breath, or Frost Fury, Froststorm's Fury, whatever. Glacial Advance, just when you're running Breath Sindragosa, is just not a good combo, because this uses a lot of runic power. So I would sim it out, and if it's a really, really long fight with just one target, then maybe Glacial Storm might be ahead, but I doubt it. Sindragosa's Fury is just more fun. Also, it's easier to line up all of your cooldowns with your Sindragosa's Fury. At least the first one, you kind of want to get on cooldown, so you can get that 3-minute cooldown started. So it depends on how long the fight is. If the fight's only going to last 3 minutes, then you're going to want to wait until you have Pillar of Frost at least, over 20-25% strength increase, with your gear, trinkets procced, with your Fallen Crusader procced as well. And you're going to try to get that 130k crit. That's what you want from Froststorm's Fury. Alright, for Breath of Sindragosa, Ice Cap and Obliteration. I don't even think Ice Cap is considered. Obliteration is only considered if you're running Frost Scythe in dungeons, so you can kind of get that crit and But Sindragosa is really where you're going to want to be in the long term. All right, let's go over here. So right now I'm 355 item level. Trinkets I'm running are Dark Moon card Fathoms and just the Howler. The reason I use the Howler is because I was originally using the PvP unused versatility trinket. It gives me about the same versatility if I use it with people around me. Plus the strength on the trinket is just so much better. I just like static strength trinkets on DKs because strength is such a big bonus for us. When we have a lot of strength, we do a lot more damage. In my artifact straight slots, I am trying to focus on taking either the top three, which is Glacial Continuity, which I think comes in at a close third for actual traits, Thunderous Blast, or Tidal Surge. That's what's going to kind of give you the most damage. And I'll put a link in the description to a website called Blood Mallet, which is going to tell you exactly what pieces of gear are the best. When coming to selecting these pieces, I'm pretty sure, and don't quote me on this, I would definitely sim your character first before you make this decision. And I haven't simmed yet, but item level is probably going to be better as long as you have a somewhat decent trait. And this Champion of Ezreal trait just gives me straight strength. And it has Earthlink, which also gives me straight strength. So I feel like that's just better. That is 355 item level. And I'm getting, almost 170 more strength. And that's like having another trinket on, So I think that's definitely worth it in the long run. For your weapons, you want to have Razor Ice on your main hand and Fallen Crusader on your offhand. I'm not sure if that really matters anymore, but your offhand hits more, I guess. That was the theory before. Now that Blizzard made everything kind of odd and made legendary artifact weapons, and now we're back to regular weapons, but things scale off attack power now. The theory is, before your offhand hit more than your main hand, so your main hand should have Razor Ice on it. Also, with your main hand having Razor Ice on it, your Frost Scythe while playing in PvP dungeons, Mythic dungeons, not PvP, or in raids with ads, if you're going to use Frost Scythe, applies Razor Ice to all the targets. So that's actually really good. Back in the day when we had, what was that called? The Soul Reaper. Whenever we had Soul Reaper back in the day, you had to put it on your main hand because Soul Reaper could only proc Fallen Crusader off your main hand. So, yeah, little tidbit for people who've been playing DK for a long time, if you still remember that. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about what you see on the screen here. So, pretty much right over here, I'm running details, and I like to have 2 boxes of details because one I just always leave on damage, and the other I oscillate through, depending on what I want to look for. I have deaths so I can tell, how people are dying and kind of make, suggestions to the group that I'm in. Enemy damage taken is what I like to leave it on because I like to look at, who's doing damage to the boss, who's doing damage to the ads, in depending fights of how you're supposed to be playing the game. Yeah, interrupts, things like that. Alright, we'll leave that eliminated. Then we're going to go to weak auras. So if you open up my weak auras here, if you don't have this, I'll put this also in the description, but everyone should have weak auras. And I will add almost all my weak auras in the description. So right here in the bottom is just a Frost DK weak aura. It just shows everything you could really need to know while you're DPSing. That's up. Your Chains of Ice right here is just tracking how many stacks you have of Gold Heart. And then down here I have the Remorseless Winter weak aura, which pretty much will keep counting down until telling me that Remorseless Winter is ready to press. But the difference between this one is, even though it's off cooldown but can't be used by runes, it will then go back on cooldown and continue to count down again. So I use this to know that, okay, Remorseless Winter is about to come off cooldown and I need to start pooling a rune to be able to use it. And I think this question mark one is just one that I was helping a friend make. So I don't want to view that one. Okay, and then over here, we'll kind of go over, all I do is every single Azurite piece that I have, or trinket, or proc, or something like that, I put in just this little box. And I mean, the way you do that, you just make a group on weak auras, and then you literally just hit new weak aura right here, and then you go to trigger, and then if you have LBUI, you turn on spell IDs, and see how Cold Heart is ID 281209. You literally type 28. I already forgot. 281209 into there. Hit OK, and it just found that that's Cold Heart. See, and that just made a Cold Heart weak aura right there for you. So after that, it's simple. You just turn it on to always show in combat, and there you go. You just made a weak aura. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of videos out there on how to do that, but you know, we're not here for that. Okay, what you see right here in the middle is called compact runes. I just really like how the runes display in this scenario better than any other way. We'll go hit something so you can see how they refresh, but instead of the runes being static in one situation, see, you can actually see it refreshing, but like they move. So now the ones that refreshing are now on the top part, instead of it kind of, you know, if you're playing on stock UI or something else, they just kind of always refresh in the order that they were used, which is pretty nice. Alright, so let's talk about the rotation first before I maybe do it, because I've been trying to do it for a while now, and I freaking get confused while talking, and it just blows up in my face. So, from the previous video I made, I've been checking out logs, and actually things have changed from what people are actually doing now, which ends up being a little bit more DPS, because the amount of breath damage you get is going to be more, and the obliterates actually don't really matter as much anymore. So what we're going to be looking at is 3 obliterates right off the start, then immediately popping Pillar of Frost. Then after popping Pillar of Frost, you turn on Empower Rune Weapon, and what I've done is bound Empower Rune Weapon to Breath of Sindragosa, since Breath of Sindragosa is off the global cooldown. Once you do that, you're going to then obliterate again, pretty much work with your procs and things like that. You're not even going to turn on Remorseless Winter, because Remorseless Winter literally does no damage now, apparently, and then only is good if you have 3 to 4 targets, so don't even worry about pressing that button anymore. Once you do that, you're going to use Winter whenever you are running out of runic power and you need to replenish your breath. When the Pillar of Frost is going down, when it's about to fall off, you want to make sure you use your Chains of Ice and your Frostworm's Fury, unless there is a better spot during the fight to use it, like if it's a 3-minute encounter and you're only going to be able to hit 2 targets with it. Alright, so now let's get a couple of attempts, or at least let's see if I can get on the first try, you know, or I probably won't show you all the times I fuck up, you know, a good one, but let's do this one. First try, here we go. Alright, so we're going to start off, we're going to obliterate 3 times. 1, 2, 3, then we're going to pop this, then we're going to immediately start this, then we got a proc there, we're going to go here, here, get a nice proc there, turn on this because we're losing our breath, we're checking out, Pillar of Frost is about to fall off, go ahead and use Chains of Ice, go ahead and breathe, and there you go. There's a I mean, that's a pretty perfect opener, if I would say so myself. Yeah, so just follow that, and you will probably do pretty good DPS. Alright, so one last thing before we go, I remember that I didn't talk about stat weights. Right now what I'm doing is I am stacking crit and mastery, and trying to get haste to a 10% kind of like area. Only because I'm able to do that now with my item level have I started to try to hit this 10%. I would suggest do not try to hit the 10% if you are below 350 item level, because it is, you know, no point. I have a bunch of rings that are probably a DPS increase, but I sim and it's like, it's very, I could go up to more haste, I could go down to, more mastery, more crit, things like that, and I just can't decide what I would want to do. So I would suggest just sim your character, be able to sim, look up exactly how to sim. Use SimC, put it in. Don't do raid bots. Actually, download the sim program, and every time you get a new piece of gear, sim your character and be like, okay, understand the process, figure it out. Make sure that you are wearing your best gear for what you can do, and that's how you're gonna do good DPS. All right, guys. So if you have any questions, throw it in the comments. I'm always around. I'm always answering questions. Whatever you guys want. Suggestions for next videos. I'll be back with probably some more mythics with pugs coming up next. Maybe some sweaty mythics. We try hard, too hard. All right, and if you want some raid videos, maybe I can get you some raid videos. I don't know. All right. I hope you guys like and subscribe and have a great rest of your day.